one of the bright spots of last November's election for Republicans was the House races. They unexpectedly tipped seats, narrowing House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's margin. But Steve, yesterday's floor vote from a group of establishment representatives has a lot of voters up in arms.
It certainly does. You know, it's been clear from both polling as well as recent elections that the Republican voters, they believe in a transformed America First party. But a lot of legacy office holders, well, they cling to old ways, the ways of the surrender GOP. And I think people were really surprised to see so many, Jen, 35 members of Congress kowtowing to the agenda of the D.C. contingent, unfortunately. So that's the reality, folks. There's a new gang in town, and there's nothing cool about this group. I'm referring, of course, to this new coalition formed on Capitol Hill. 35 House Republican representatives who voted with Nancy Pelosi yesterday to establish a congressional committee to investigate the January 6th riot. 35 political cowards who are handing Adam Schiff, AOC, and Jerry Nadler the keys to a high-powered truck, knowing full well that Pelosi and her squad will use that truck to then run them over. Now, look, here's the reality. There are Americans who, unfortunately, believe in political power through force. Some examples: Antifa, the radical BLM cop killer in Dallas, and yes, a group of thugs who attacked the police at the Capitol on January 6th. These people brought great dishonor to the America First cause. But this isn't an effort to understand or to deter political violence. This commission, this sham tribunal, is directed only at MAGA believers.
This is impeachment 3.0. This is going after President Trump again. It makes no sense how it's structured.
We should be honest about what happened at the Capitol on January 6th. President Trump called for peaceful protest.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
But some of his supporters then acted criminally, and they should be prosecuted fully. Our America First movement is about backing the blue and respecting law and order. But the riot was not, by any stretch, an insurrection. The government was not threatened. The military complex was not imperiled. Unarmed morons in furry hats running around hallways with selfie sticks is not a real rebellion. In fact, there is no evidence that there were any firearms in that building except for the armed police, including the one who shot and killed MAGA supporter Ashley Babbitt. The only person killed on that really unfortunate day was a deplorable, Ashley Babbitt. We should remember her name, in part because we still do not know another name, the name of her shooter. But you know, the truth just doesn't matter to the left. Pelosi, Schumer, and the Biden administration, they are hell-bent on forcing a narrative down our throats, one based on conjecture, like the myth that Officer Sicknick was killed by the crowd. The riot on January 6th, here's the truth. It was quickly and thankfully dispersed because of the brave actions from law enforcement and because President Trump issued a strong video telling everyone to stop it, to knock it off, and to go home. But instead, the Republican leaders that we wanted elected, they want to validate this Democrat myth-making and even endorse it by appointing a political inquisition board, and that's what it is. But they not only missed the mark on the policy side, but also on the politics, too. Just look at their districts. Trump won 30 of those 35 districts. Let's take a couple of examples. Rodney Davis of Illinois. He cruised to victory in 2020 by 9 points in a district that hasn't elected a Democrat representative since the 1800s. Or take Tony Gonzalez of Ohio. His district is plus 10 Republican, and his vote for Nancy's tribunal was just the icing on the cake because he also voted for the second sham impeachment of President Trump. That's right, 10 out of these 35 reps, they earned that dubious distinction. I call them the terrible 10. It's an even more detestable subset of the broader gang of 35. All of them, all 35, but particularly these 10, they need to lose and to lose in primaries. Now, regarding those odds of the primaries and getting an America First Congress elected, let's go to a chalk talk. So these are the infamous terrible 10 who voted for both the impeachment of President Trump as well as this January 6th commission. Now, I'm putting two of them aside because they are in Dem-leaning districts. But the others, they are in heavily Republican-leaning districts. Cheney plus 26, Rice plus 11, Newhouse plus 13. Taken together, these 8 in total, their districts average 10.6% Republican lean, according to the Cook Political Report. Why is that important? Because if we beat them in the primary, we're not at risk of sacrificing the seat just because we removed an incumbent. So when we beat them in the primary with America First Republican candidates, they will then also keep the seat in Republican hands. And Jen, I have to tell you that today on social media and also just calls and emails with a lot of folks, the America First movement, the activists, they are irate about these 36 roughly Republicans.
As they absolutely should be, Steve. And just what I can't get over is the fact that obviously what's happening with these Republicans, but just the fact that there's so much focus on January 6th, but not much talk about what happened last year in terms of our cities burning and people destroying them. That's what gets me fired up.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.